We are back. We are with Abhimanyu Mishra. He's on a quest to become the youngest grandmaster in the world, in world history. He just turned 12 in February. And folks, if you want to support him, make sure you go to his GoFundMe page. It is not cheap to become a grandmaster, folks. You've got to get support. So support him. Whatever little bit will count, it will add up. The family is giving it their all. They're on a quest to become world champion, not just grandmaster, but world champion eventually. And you can say, hey, I supported him when I was a part of making this kid become a GM. Otherwise, you'll just have to sit back and say, I just cheered and clapped my hands, and that's what happened. But hey, you can also put your money where your mouth is and say, this kid, I supported him when he is on a serious quest. Let's bring Abhi back into the show. And Abhi, tell us quickly, who's your favorite player? Like, who do you look up to right now in the chess world?
Currently, Carlsen.
So Magnus Carlsen. Now, Magnus was 12 when he became an IM. You're 2 years ahead of Magnus. What does that say about your chances of maybe one day overtaking Magnus?
I mean, of course, it's still a long way, but I mean, it's possible. I plan to, of course, do it.
Magnus, when you turn 20, Magnus will already be 38 years old. I think there are a lot of people who are thinking about Magnus in the meantime. What's your opinion? Have you, or do you have one, of young Alireza Firouzja? Everybody's saying that he's going to be the next world champion to take over.
Yeah, I mean, the way he's been playing is phenomenal. I mean, I've seen his games; it's amazing. Yeah, it looks like he'll go and he'll reach even higher levels.
And what about other players? You like Magnus. What about, let's drop the top players. What do you think about Fabiano Caruana?
Yeah, of course. He's the, I guess, the most probable to become world champion. I mean, his match against Carlsen, like, he missed by a game or two, but yeah, it was very tight throughout.
Absolutely. Ding Liren, any opinion about him?
Yeah, same as, I mean, yeah, Ding also has, I mean, currently in the candidates, I mean, they're, Nepo is leading and MVL. I mean,
correct.
Currently he's like a point or half a point or a point behind, but yeah, he also is very good.
Ding Liren is actually more points behind. Ding Liren is doing badly in this event. It's Fabi who's a point behind with Geary and Grishchuk, but Ding Liren started off really badly in the first 3 rounds. I think he got 2.5 in the first 7 rounds. I think he got 2.5 out of 7. So his chances look slim. But overall, Ding is such a monster. I mean, he's 3 in the world right now.
He had this amazing unbeaten streak.
Yes, Ding Liren absolutely is a fantastic player. Now, when you see those players at that level, are you intimidated or are you inspired?
I'm inspired about like how they play. I mean, it's amazing. For example, out of nothing, Carlsen, he creates like dead drawn position. He'll go and he'll, like, there was one game, I think it's Ponomarev, I think maybe it was like rook 4 versus rook 4, and he won.
That's Magnus Carlsen for you. Why do you see yourself getting to that level?
Because I believe with even more hard work than what I'm doing right now, I'll keep on breaking things.
Even more than the 10 hours a day or more that you're putting in, you think you're going to put in even more hours as you grow up?
Yeah, sure. I mean,
I love it. You guys hearing this, folks? I mean, he puts in 10 hours a day and says, I'm not slowing down. You know, there are a lot of people, by the way, I've been seeing on the chat, there are a lot of people who are young and show talent early and then drop out of chess after that. I don't know any stories like yours, Abhi, like that kind of commitment and dedication. Could you envision what they're saying right now, that maybe there's going to be some burnout, maybe it's going to be too much for you? Do you feel any of that kind of pressure as you're playing?
I mean, currently I'm not thinking about that at all. I mean, I'll just keep on going up, and when things aren't working, we'll see. I mean, why should I think about when I'm going to quit now?
Yeah, right. I'm sure people said that about Magnus. Oh, yeah, he's playing a lot of chess. Maybe you should have him do something different, Dad. Fabi was the same way. Numbers 1 and 2 in the world right now. So stop hating on the youngsters, folks. This is super talents we're talking about, and who knows where he's going to end up. We're watching something that is absolutely extraordinary. Well, let's get to see some skills. Some skills. Well, let's get to a game, and I want to jump right into this game that you played recently. First of all, tell us about your opponent, where he's from, and how strong he is.
So my opponent is Vladimir Belus. He's a Russian Grandmaster. He's like 2,500, somewhere in that range.
You said you played him before different times.
Yeah, I've played him before a few times. I mean, I've beat him before too.
So Vladimir is sitting across from you. He already knows what it tastes, what your fist tastes like. Did you feel he was intimidated in this game?
I mean, not really, but I mean, this was after I lost like a winning position the previous round, so I'm sure he didn't feel like I was going to crush him or anything.
Okay, well, let's take a look at the game. You had the white pieces, and let's go through this line. We see he played a Benko Gambit. When you see a Benko, are you thinking counterplay for black, or are you thinking I'm going to eat this for lunch?
I mean, look, wait, you're up by a pawn. I mean, it's not like he's winning the pawn back or anything. It has to be better for white.
That's the attitude. It has to be better for white. And we see the move A7 right at this moment. Why A7, or as opposed to what's the nuance behind making the rook go on A7 right at this very moment?
The point of playing A7 is if I go for bishop D2 instead of A7.
And all right, let's look at that. Bishop D2.
Now bishop takes A6. And it would continue as same in the game, like B3. Bishop takes C4. B takes C4. Queen B4. And here in the game, since his rook was on A7, I had this move knight B5, and I was able to take his rook on A7. But here knight B5 doesn't attack anything, and then he could just play queen takes C4.
Gotcha. So the nuance, the difference, folks, what he just said, we're going to see play out in the game right at this moment. The move A7, rook takes A7. The rook is now on this A7 square. Why is that significant? Because the game did continue just this way, and black walks into this punch after queen to B4, the move E5, chasing the knight away, and then bing, 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 knight to B5, uncovering attack on the queen and that rook that took the pawn on the A7 square. And it's 14 moves in, and you've stolen a rook off him already. Is this a trap that you had prepared? You must have known the nuances of this line before you went into it.
Yeah, I mean, during the game, actually, A7, I was considering this kind of thing. But yeah, actually, instead of E5, knight B5 directly wasn't that clear. Because, I mean...
Go back here. So knight B5 directly.
He would take queen takes C4.
Mm-hmm.
Knight takes A7, and I mean, here this may be winning, but after knight takes E4, I mean, it's like his knight in the other variations on H5 compared to E4.
Absolutely, completely.
And I mean, here at least, like he might have some chances with some counterplay.
Right, absolutely. E5 buries his knight over in hinterland, and now we get this line: bishop takes E5, rook to C1, quickly played, and queen takes A2, knight F3, hitting the bishop. And then he played this move, bishop to B2. Obviously, he's trying to get your knight at some point, but rook to C2, that just seemed beastie. Like queen B3 and queen B1. And that was all she wrote, folks. 19 moves against a 2,500 GM after losing your previous round. That must have felt good.
Yeah, I mean, in the previous game, I mean, I was completely winning, and yeah, so it felt very good to just crush this guy and come out.
back in business right away. This is what we're talking about, folks. We're talking about a 12-year-old beating on a 2,500 Grandmaster in 19 moves. Watch out. Watch out. Be careful if you see this kid across from the board. We've already seen those gangster eyes, and this is gangster play right here. Well, the next game we're going to go over was quite a different affair. as this game lasted 65 moves. Tell us about your opponent, another Grandmaster as well, yes?
Yeah. Peter, he's a Grandmaster from Hungary. He's around, he's currently 2580. I believe he was 2600 at some point. So, I mean, he's stronger than the last person.
Man, incredible. So we're talking about somebody who's 2580, was a 2600. 2580 sounds like 2600 to me. I'm going to round up. I took math class. I'm going to round up. This guy's basically a 2600 GM that Abhi, 12 years old. By the time your rating was not your live rating, you're not even 2400 yet, right? I mean, not officially.
I touched 2400 way back, but then I had some bad tournament and it fell down. But yeah, during this game, I was like 2370 or something.
All right, 2370 rating. We do know that you gained a lot of rating points from this performance as well. So you had the black pieces, and we're going to rush through the opening. Tell me when to stop if at some point you feel the need to do so, because you got this.
This was some uncommon opening, but I mean, yeah, he spent a lot of time in the opening, probably not sure about what to play, because I mean, if you have to play King F2 with the white and these 3 pawns on E3, F3, and G3, I mean, this cannot be right.
All right, so far chasing the queen around, and this move is funky. Queen A5. Was it forced? I mean, he could have swung across the board to G4, it looked like. But Queen A5, what an unusual place to put a queen right in the opening. I realized that the knight is still pinned and he is threatening your bishop on D6. When you saw this move come on the board, what did you think? This is not your everyday formation right here. This is as unusual as it gets, a formation like this one.
I mean, I considered Queen A5. I mean, it isn't that, it's a move, but I mean, I thought I could just move my bishop away. It didn't seem like life-threatening.
Yeah, life-threatening. It seems like a misplaced piece. You're right. Rook to C1, castles, bishop C6, BC6, and now knight to D4. Now he's trying to hunt you down. And now you played the move queen to D7. And this leaves your C pawn hanging for the moment, but it looks like you've got a good shot if he were to take it. What happens on the straightforward rook takes on C6?
Rook takes C6. Actually, yeah, knight C4. Like, I have knight C4 here, and now the point is after the move queen takes D5 here, it fails to bishop takes G3.
Nasty tactics, folks. Check on the king and give me your queen, so don't be touching my pawns. It looks like he'd have to hightail it out of here. His bishop is under attack, so he's got to play queen to C3. But
even after this, I can go like bishop E5, and I mean, I would pin his knight and with threats of bishop takes D4, and I mean, his rook is misplaced.
Nasty. I mean, he'd have to run for his life. Look, can he survive? Maybe something like rook to A6. I mean, might as well. You got to do something.
It's
desperation.
One pawn. This is amazing.
Yes, your assessment is dead on for one pawn.
Even here, I can play queen B7 and win
B2. Tactics. Hit that if you want to. I'm surprised. I might want more food with putting something on C8.
Okay, C8 also looks very tempting. I mean,
yeah, I mean, that just looks delish with that queen sitting there. Who knows? I'm going to tell you straight up, if I had white in this position, I'd be quivering in my boots. I'm not sure if this was the best way to play, but again, you still have this threat. This rook looks misplaced. This piece is pinned. And by the way, queen H3, if this rook ever moves, don't think, oh, let's bring it over. Queen H3 could just drop in on the house, and there's a bishop G3, there's a queen H2. There's all kinds of madness going on just for a pawn. That looks deadly dangerous. What a nice move, folks. Queen slide to the left with queen D7. Great move. So his opponent backed down and had to play the move B3, but I gave you a tempo to hit him with
instead of B3, actually knight C6 was an interesting move, with the point that now the same knight C4 idea doesn't work, as after queen takes D5. Now if you go for the bishop takes G3 tactic, now H take, queen takes D5, he has a knight E7 check.
Nasty. And not only does he have this check, he can even
take G6 first. Yeah, now he can
pawn in the meantime, in the between time, then come back because of that pin on the line, and then pick up your queen.
And he has to go king F7 because king H8, he has rook takes H7.
Ooh, more tactics. Boom. Oh my goodness. The kid's dropping it, folks. This is skills. This is skills. He's showing all kinds of danger. So what did you have if he had taken on c6? Let's go all the way back. What did you have prepared since knight c4 didn't work?
I mean, I thought I would play something like rook fca, like first kicking away this knight and then go knight c4.
Ah, same energy, hit the knight. This pawn is defended. The knight drops back. Now you can play knight c4. Clearly, now this tactic no longer works because of the disco action. Beautiful, beautiful. Hit him in hard chest, folks. Yeah, now you're seeing what the young G is all about, all right? I'm going to tell you, I had a friend, let's see, queen d7. I had a good friend, Abhi. I have a good friend. His name is Willie Johnson. Everybody knows him as Pop. And Pop, when I was coming up as a young player in Brooklyn, I was basically like not even master level. And Pop used to say, whenever he saw me, he would always just speak it into the world. He'd say, "What's up, Grandmaster?" Now, I was barely expert level, nowhere near Grandmaster, but he'd just speak it into the world. "What's up, Grandmaster?" Every time I called him, "What's up, Grandmaster?" He's older than me by 18 years, but one of those wise guys, one very beautiful human being, one of my best friends for decades and decades, and he would just speak it into the world. So I'm just going to give it to you, Abhi. We already got that. What's up, GM? That's what we're going to tell you. You see his calculation, how vicious his ideas are. The note that he made right there, that knight c6, knight c4, you can take on d5 because of all those nasty tactics we just saw. All right, but queen d7, I totally agree with you. This move followed by something nasty like this, that just looks super powerful indeed with all the hits. This knight looks offside. Even if you take this king and rook and bishop, they just look anemic. Just
yeah, ridiculous. I mean, all his pieces are misplaced. I mean, this rook can always come to rook a8, and I mean, like this queen can go to h3. I have many moves to.
Yeah, hit him and hurt him.
Knight can go to c4. I mean, all my pieces are like imperfect.
Gorgeously placed. Gorgeously placed. So he had to leave that pawn alone and play the move b3. Then you hit him with c5, telling his knight to get to stepping. That knight went backwards. And now another beastie move, bishop to d3, avoiding the trade and leaving this knight stranded over here. By the way, for those of you who want to take, looks like you might be able to play takes with the f pawn, Abhi.
Yeah, take with f pawn and this f. I mean, with this king on f2, it's very, very dangerous. Like even knight e2. I mean, I doubt rook f3 works directly, but yeah, maybe even g5.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go back one move to this point. Takes, and now if the knight drops back, man, this pawn looks scrumptious. Like you just how much you want to take it, but you're right.
Even if I go queen f5 and force f4, I mean,
queen f5 potential.
Now all these knight squares, this is just
for nothing, literally for nothing.
And his queen is on a5 too. I mean,
the queen's over here, the rook's over here, the king's on skates. And anytime this rook might show up, yeah, I'm buying stock in your position for sure. Right there, that looks beastie. Okay, let's keep it going. So he did not take on g6. He did not want to see any of that action. For those of you who asked, why not take on g6? Yeah, now you see why. So knight back, you play bishop to d3, knight to f4. Now the bishop swung to this side. You know, I'd be sweating if I were him with this queen on this side of the board the way it is. But suddenly he did play the move knight to f5, and the game does take a bit of a turn after this move. Speak to us through this sequence. Knight f5 hitting your bishop, and you took this knight. He took your bishop. I'm not exactly thrilled with that exchange, I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean, after knight f5, I mean, you couldn't move your bishop away, but I mean, that knight isn't so useless anymore. It was on h4 before. I mean, it wasn't doing anything. But here on f5, I mean, there could be some pressure on g7.
Yeah, definite change in the temperature of the game when we saw that trade take place.
But I mean, still, even here, I mean, still his pieces aren't really in the best positions. I mean, his king is still weak.
It is. But I would say there's a feeling I get like there was more in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not sure what it is. Like right back here, knight f4 looks like it wants to come.
Actually, after bishop e3 knight f4, I should have taken knight f4. Something like this. But I mean, I wasn't sure whether to give up this bishop on d6 because, I mean, some opposite color bishop problem. But, I mean, his king is way too weak.
This light square bishop 2 and this bad knight, Abhi. I think this is where I feel bishop takes knight. They call the Grandmaster trade. All right. I like to call it the GM trade. I got that from Jeremy Silman, actually, Reassess Your Chess, and also from Watson, John Watson's book, Secrets of Modern Chess Strategy. And the idea, when you trade a bishop for a knight, you're trying to dominate the other color. So here, his light squares do become a lot weaker after this trade. You're going to have this light square bishop.
Yeah, like in many variations, after g takes f4, you have this move queen h3.
Oh, yeah, g takes f4 looks like torture.
I mean, not directly, but yeah.
If he takes here, you do get a pass pawn, but you do have this thing to worry about that you might have to push.
Yeah, if I go c4, I mean, my bishop on d3, you can't even kick it away.
You'll never be able to kick it away, but do you have the angles? I'm still looking at queen h3 is always going to be a troublesome move in this kind of position. So maybe I understand your reluctance to give up your piece, bishop takes on f4, but I do feel as though he seemed to have gotten away a little bit by being able to get you to play knight f5, takes and takes. But nevertheless, let's keep going with the game. He's trying to trade queens. Not yet. And now bishop to a5 and d4. And here we go. A new phase of the game, the action getting started. Of course, he doesn't want to take here because you'll just snap. Whoops. Thank you. Crack this pawn structure. This king will never be safe. So he played the move e4. And it looks like he's starting to make progress. And then all of a sudden you hit it with boom, f5. The party starts yet again. Your rook is on the f file, and here you go.
Yeah, I can't give him time to consolidate. I mean, his king is weak. It's temporary. If you give him a few moves and he brings his rook and everything, I mean, his position isn't that bad strategically. I have to do something immediately.
Great analysis. Great point indeed. The F file now suddenly breaking open, folks, with this break. Thanks to this pawn advancing. Know about our pawn breaks. Of course, the young G, he knows about pawn breaks. He knew about that since he was probably 5 and 7 months old. Pawn breaks give life to your game, and that's what that move F5 is doing. His opponent understood it just as well and shut down the file with this move E5. These 2600 GMs, they don't go lightly. Bishop takes, E5, rook takes. But now bishop takes f4. You must have felt like this position you could work with.
Yeah, I mean, now his king is even more open. I mean, this e-file is also open. I can always put my rook on e and e3.
Somebody here, somebody there. It's about to get special. But you started with the move queen to e7, hitting the rook and preparing some entry into the h4 square. Whew, this is getting dangerous right now for white. He took on b6. And then he played rook to c6. How can he possibly survive this position right here? Rook f to e8. I mean, how's he not dead?
Yeah, I mean, this position is definitely completely winning for black. I mean, I messed up later. That's because, I mean, if you play precisely, this should be over in some time.
This is definitely huge advantage for black. We should point out when you have major piece endings, something that's standard, the first thing you look for when you have queen and 2 rooks against queen and 2 rooks, thank you, Tiska Tasker. When you have that, your most important thing you look at first is the king position. Because if the king has any kind of air anywhere in there, usually the side is losing with the exposed king. It's like bad days are ahead. And right here, we see the difference between this king and this king. Queen and 2 rooks, it's always the standard for major piece endings. And now we get the move, rook to d1, queen takes on f4. That's a snack 'em, thanks for the pawn. King to h8. And now he bails and plays this move, rook e6. Now, one thing I do know, Abhi, is when you have a passed pawn, even though you're up a pawn in queen and rook versus queen and rook, it's very hard to just ram that pawn all the way home.
Yeah, because, I mean, eventually what will happen is he'll put his rook or something in front of it. I mean, you can't, I mean, you have to keep protecting the pawn, so you can't, like, keep going around it.
And we're going to see that happen in this
The way
game.
you would have to win is to create threats on other parts of the board, like his king. Since he's too occupied with the pawn, I mean, he wouldn't be able to defend.
Right, exactly. But did you get a chance to review this game to find out exactly where you should have changed things?
I mean, for next few moves, I mean, things were going amazing.
Okay, so h6, queen E1, D3. By the way, we should point out, don't be too careless, folks. The move D3 right now, and bing, 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 bing. Oops, lost your pawn for zero reason. So don't be too careless. Right here, Abhi was wise, noted the back rank problem, played h6, queen to e1, and there goes that d pawn. And now he's looking for that trade with queen takes, which looks like his king will be able to sneak over a little bit if you're not careful. What happened here? You played queen d4.
Yeah, I mean, I still believed his king was way too weak. I mean, if I keep queens on the board, eventually with my rook entering, I mean, he's too passive.
Okay, so we're still going at it, but you still, this is starting to look a little bit like some wavering, and he picks off your pawn on b6.
Yeah, so now the game is just completely over. Rook d6. I mean, now, since his rook is on d2, now I have rook g6, queen a1.
So queen b4, and right here you missed.
f4 was a mistake.
This move right here, check.
I saw check, king f2. And during the game, I considered some variation like queen takes h2 check, king e3. And I mean, I wasn't able to find like checkmate.
How is this not winning? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's probably winning, but I had like last few seconds. I mean, I wasn't able to decide.
I get your point though. The point is that check here takes, no big deal. Check, king hides, and suddenly you got to worry about an a pawn that's going to be running down the board. You can't.
I was worried if I do something like this, all my advantage would just go away.
Will just disappear. So you saw the queen h2, which is the most obvious and delicious looking move, but you're saying you missed the other move.
Rook e6.
Right here.
Yeah, actually, this it's instead of queen b4, but like 2 moves ago. He had to move queen f2.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, the point is here I have rook g6 check, king f1. And it looks like I have nothing but I have queen a1 check and I'm winning.
Yeah, big dog.
Queen e1, rook g1.
Bing, 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 bing. Hello. Give me all your pieces, please. You don't need them. Stop crying. You're dead. All right. So that queen f2 was not going to be a move. So he did find queen b4.
Yeah, he played it with last 1 second on his clock.
With 1 second on the clock. So we got the time pressure going on. And you're saying that right now, rook g6, king f2, and then double back to e6.
And this is forced me.
Okay, this is not an easy maneuver at all. Obviously, you cannot touch this pawn because queen d3 check, that's hanging. If we don't mate you, we'll just take your rook. That's for sure. You can't touch that. And who's going to stop queen e1? Oh, that's that. Oh, that would have been, were you in time pressure?
Yeah, in this tournament, there was no second time control. So, I mean, even after move 40, we were still in last 30 seconds.
So there's a handshake game going on right now. Yeah. Wow. Rook, I like that though. Abhi, that's not an easy maneuver to spot. Rook to g6, forcing the king to move over, and then double back with rook e6.
I mean, queen h2, there was some win in that, but I mean, it's still winning. But yeah, rook e6 is the cleanest. That's
a great find. I'm impressed by that move. I like the oscillation of the rook to g6 to e6. That's good chess right there, folks. That's boss. That's boss.
There's one last point. So if you go queen f8 check, king h7, king g2. Now you go queen e1, queen takes f5 check, and then rook g6 check.
Nasty. Oh my goodness. Wow. Wait, but let me ask you a question. What's the difference with your Oh, I already answered my own question. No, I didn't. No, I haven't answered my question. What's the difference with the rook on e6? Because right here, your rook starts off on d6. So back here, your rook is on d6. You play check. He puts his king to f2, and now you bring your rook back to e6. What if he now goes back to g2?
I can go queen e1.
You still do the queen e1, and the difference.
Yeah, and the same thing. Queen f8, king h7, queen h5, rook g6, same variation.
Gotcha. Indeed. So the main point actually is your rook no longer hangs on d6.
Yes.
Is that it? But let's go back. I want to make that point because here in this position, you could go queen. No, not this position. Sorry. In this position, you could play queen to e1.
I mean, it's probably also winning, but I mean, queen takes d6, queen takes d2.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's a queen ending. I mean, it's winning for sure, but I didn't see why to go into this. I mean,
There's the danger of the queen going here and picking up this pawn with a draw. So, for example, if the king goes
h3, I guess.
king h3, you don't even have a check.
Yeah, I mean,
You don't even have a check, and you got to start worrying about checks yourself.
maybe king h7, but yeah, it doesn't look like it doesn't look like it sounds like you just win this.
Exactly. I agree with you 100%. Why not make this maneuver where you get your rook off of the hanging square, then bring it back with devastating threats? And when the king goes back, now you drop queen e1, and there's no queen takes rook. He's got to go for that line you mentioned with queen f8, but that's not going to do anything because a check is met by a counter check, and that's going to be all she wrote. Beautiful win would have happened in the game. Good point. Good for learning. You know, you got to learn your lessons, right? Well, in this position, instead, in time pressure with the queen on b4, you had to re-win the game. We've been there before. You played f4, and now he plays queen e4 and insists on guarding all the squares. There's no rook g6 anymore. He's hitting your pawn. He's looking to trade queens. Were you frustrated at this point?
Yeah, I mean, of course, after playing f4 directly, I didn't realize, but after making like x2, 3 moves, I realized, I mean, win isn't so trivial anymore.
Indeed. You played rook g6. That looks like a monster shot. He plays check and then brought his queen all the way back, and then you didn't have any entry points.
Yeah, I mean, there was some win around here, but I mean, it was getting very difficult.
Yeah, I'm looking at this myself. I'm thinking black to move and win, and I'm thinking how?
Here, there's no win. I mean, in this position, there's not direct win. I mean,
what am I supposed to do now? And white has covered up, shut everything down, and now it's time to hustle him, baby. Hustle time. Queen d5, queen b1, rook d6, and he's pushing an a pawn. How is he pushing pawns? The game when he looked totally dead.
His idea is to keep pushing this a pawn, and I mean, keep pushing the pawn, and once one of my pieces go and takes the pawn, he would go and take my central pawn.
Right, exactly. The a pawn is going to be a distraction. You played, whoa. What's this move about? Tactics. The point being that rook takes is met by queen to f2. Abhi, you're sneaky.
Yeah, I mean.
Wow, that's a nice move right there. Rook to e6. That could cause somebody to panic.
Yeah. Now, actually, after his next move, I mean, there was a very crazy approach to win. I mean, apparently here, only move to win this position is queen b4.
Whoa, what?
The idea is queen e7.
Oh, get out of here. That's geometrics of the highest level.
And I mean,
that's a computer move. Check the pockets.
Now here, boy has two options, king g2 and a7. So say he goes for a7.
Uh-huh.
Queen e7.
What a maneuver. I'm sorry. That's crazy. Hitting the pawn, threatening rook e1.
And now queen.
Now,
rook e1, check. Now again, if he takes queen takes e1, queen takes e1.
You take everything.
Queen d2. Queen takes d2. I mean, here it's winning again, according to engine.
You're going to move your queen and push the pawn and then work for the rest?
Yeah, and here, so that means that he can't take on e1, so king g2. And now some check, like queen g5 check. King can't go to f2 because of queen g1 mate.
That's true.
So king h3 is forced. And now some queen f5 check. King h4. Now king g2. King g2, king g2.
Yeah, I mean, you're walking right into a punch.
Yeah, now queen g6
let's just point out, king h4 drops mate immediately, so that's not going to happen. So he's got to go back.
And now queen g6 check.
What kind of nasty maneuver is this?
He has to go to h3. And now queen e6 check. And I mean, now since the queen went from f5 to e6, now rook takes d1 and queen e2.
Get out of here. Get out of here. That is one of the greatest zigzaggies. Wow. Ziggy zow, ziggy zow. That was crazy.
I mean, even after this, things aren't clear, but yeah, this is probably winning.
No, if you did this in a game where you play queen b4, queen e7, and then did all the ziggy zow stuff, we check your pockets. We'd be like, check the young man's pockets right now.
It's and a7 isn't his only move.
That was insane. Sorry, Abhi. That was insane. That was a sick line, to be sure. So you didn't play that after A6. You played more directly with queen to E3, keeping the A pawn under guard. But wait a minute. This is your move? Oh, right, of course, because rook D3 is still queen F2. So he still can't touch. And also, he can't play A7 yet because you're going to take. And again, he can't take because you're playing queen F2. So all of that's still good. So queen E3, he played B4, and a second pawn is growing.
I mean, this was...
I'm sorry. This looks crazy. What are you thinking right now as you're looking at this? Do you think you're winning, or are you panicking?
Actually, queen E3 was a mistake, and now, I mean, position is, like, of course, white is under still a lot of pressure, but it's defendable now.
Defendable? Who knows what's going on? We've seen past pawns running down the board that we're not supposed to be, and you got this past D pawn still, and we don't even know if you have any threats. A lot of people would panic right now, like straight panic. No question about it. You kept your cool and played queen back to B6, hitting the two pawns and preparing once more this move, queen to F2 as this D pawn. I've never seen a D pawn so well defended, by the way. A pawn that is simply not protected by anybody and it can't be touched. There's the MC Hammer pawn right here. Queen F1 he plays, and then you drop rook to E3 on him. Okay, is this winning?
I mean, no, not yet. I mean, because now he can take D3.
Exactly. And
I
now
mean, I messed up, but still, I mean, here I was able to win this B4 pawn too by queen B7.
Queen B7 at the tail end of it. Nice tactics, folks. Picking this one off, picking that one off. After king G2, queen takes B4. You got to have a different attitude about this game. The king is still exposed. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah,
but
B2. I mean, it's defendable. Like, it's, of course, black is he can never lose this.
Yeah, that's a beautiful position to be in. We call it a two results game. That's the favorite kind of position you want. There's only two results. I win or it's a draw. You get no winning chances. Just two results. The two results game. You'll hear GMs talk about that all the time. The two results game or the three result game. The three results we don't like. We don't like the three results. The three results means that anybody can win that game. But the two result game, that's GM talk for I got this clown. I can't lose and I can win, and they're going to struggle the whole time. Well, you got him in the two result situation. You played queen C3, a nice move, preventing any queen C2 check business. He played H3, and this move, queen C4, more torture with the possibility of playing rook to E2, rook D2. And this feels like cat and mouse right now, Abhi, like you're playing with your food.
Yeah, I mean, there's no force to win. So, I mean, I'm just trying to move around and somehow you can't get him in some situation where he can't defend everything.
Now you're playing against a GM who's about 2,600, and you're thinking, I'm not giving you a draw. I'm not giving you no draw for you. Oh,
yeah, I mean, I was completely winning before, so the anger is also is there.
You're still mad at yourself for not taking care of business. Well, he played king over. You put your rook in. He swung.
Actually, yeah, instead of rook E3, rook G6 was even stronger.
Really?
And to bring this rook to G3.
I can see you. I can feel you. That looks like some pain is coming for real. Although even there, the challenge, well, no, the rook is going to sit on G3. The queen's going to come over. That's hitting the F pawn. So that could be lunch if you try to trade queens. Good point. Yeah. Rook to E3, rook to B2, and now queen C3. Not worried about a queen trade.
Yeah, rook B2 was a mistake because now he can't defend everything. Like, he can defend F3, but his rook on B2 will be hanging.
There you go. This is hanging. That's going to hang. Rook C2, folks, is bing, bing, bing. That's lunch. Thank you very much, because that's check. And now we're up 2 pawns. You're going to go down. And the other line is king to G2, but bing, bing, bing. He'll give us the pawn anyway. And that's check. Thanks for the rook being misplaced on B2. He must have been crying when this happened. Instead, he played queen to G2. You took on F3, and his last hurrah was the move rook to B6. Actually, even threatening mate in 3. Like, whoa. But you kept cool and played queen to D3. And this looks bad. Actually, you don't even. There is a last trick, Abhi. You could have fallen for Rook G3, Queen
Yeah, but
E3.
not queen e4. Now, I mean, now you lose.
Chess is a cruel game. In time pressure, there's tricks everywhere, and he could have definitely fallen for that one. Instead, the move Queen D3, cool, calm, covering the long diagonal. That's what you do, folks, when you need to settle down any kind of pressure. And you're not worried about Rook down here because of Rook to G3. Thank you very much. That's going to end that. Instead, he played Rook G6, a last hurrah desperation, hitting the square and maybe hoping you take so he can take. That looks lost also.
I mean, yeah, it's lost, but I mean,
why not hit him hard? Boom! Give us your last pawn, son. And boom, let's trade queens. We're not taking the rook. We're not giving you any chances. Give us king takes rook, and it's time to resign. Abhi, that was a roller coaster game. I'm going to tell you right now, that one had me like, what's next? And what's next? And what's next? What an extraordinary position. Which round was this in the tournament?
This was round 7.
Wrestling with the GMs. 2,600, folks. He took care of business. That's a dogfight game. Abhi, on this stream, we call that gangster chess. You see my merch, my cap, people, you can hashtag merch. We call that gangster chess right there. This is the real deal chess. When you see true over the board moves, this is what we grew up on, is the true over the board games where you've got to be in the trenches with the GMs. They're not just playing fast and blundering like that. You've got to show your stuff against high quality opposition. And that's what that was. This was no blitz game, no bullet game, no rapid game. This is for the GM title he's trying to get. And this 12-year-old took care of business against a 2580 GM. Let me say that again, a 2580 GM. And he's 12 with this kind of attitude and those kind of tactics. Do you doubt that he's on his way? Do you doubt that he's on his way to well, this already says you're got to be 2,600 if you treat 2580s like this, Abhi. I mean, that's what that's saying. Your potential is already that. Whether or not you make super GM is a different question, but at least your potential says I can be 2580s. I should be able to at least get to 2650 if I'm owning them like this. So that's a done deal. Well, we're going to come back, folks. There's one more game to go over with Abhi. Another beautiful game he played. You got to see his skills. You're seeing it here. The next one is going to be even cleaner. Abhimanyu Mishra, the youngest international master in the history of chess, on his quest to becoming a grandmaster, but not just that, to becoming world champion. We're previewing this. Does he have a chance? What do you think? And if you do think he has a chance, make sure you go to his GoFundMe page and support this young man. We're going to come back, go over one of his games, and then we are going to play some hand and brain against the stream so that you guys will get a chance to play against me and Abhi. I get the feeling I'm going to pull Abhi's strength down. That's what I'm thinking. But we're going to do some hand and brain. We'll be back right after this. You're on the GM Ashley stream here on Twitch. All right. Well, welcome back, everybody. We are having so much fun. You're with GM Ashley on the GM Ashley stream on Twitch. And we are with this young phenom, Abhimanyu Mishra. And he is just regaling us with his incredible play, his tenacity, his ferocity, his will to win. That's what you need when you're going to become the youngest IM of all time. He's already got that check mark. Yeah, that's right. Youngest expert in U.S. chess history, youngest master in U.S. chess history, youngest international master in world history, and now trying to beat Sergei Karyakin's record, 12 years, 7 months, and how many days? I'm not sure the exact number of days, but 12 years and 7 months, Sergei Karyakin was when he got the record as youngest GM of all time. Abhimanyu must get the 3 GM norms he needs and the rating points as well in order. And the rating points means 2,500 rating. Without that, it doesn't matter if you get 3 norms in 3 separate tournaments. You also have to get the rating as well. And right now, Abhi, you say you're somewhere in the low 2,400s.
Yeah, I'm 2,400. I'm 2,410 overall.
So 24-10, you got 90 rating points. That's a lot of rating points to make up. We're in April. September is not far away. We know you're going to Hungary to play in a tournament, and you guys are going to try to play in as many tournaments as possible. Of course, there's the COVID risk issue.
Yeah,
Everybody's going to
there's one
try to
good thing.
circumvent.
Like when you get a norm, you get like approximately 30 points. Like since you play like for a norm, you need to have a certain rating performance, and
Right.
since it's way higher than what my rating is currently, I would gain a lot of points. I would gain like 30 points. So basically 3 norms would basically mean 3 tournaments. I would gain 90 points.
Well, you're also but your rating is going up, so you're getting less points as a result of gaining those ratings. So
yeah, but I mean, even with K factor 40, no, K factor 10, I would still gain 30 points.
You're still gaining a lot of points. The other thing is that means you can't mess up in any other tournaments. You got to like bing, bing, bing. And because if you lose some rating points, you're going to have to gain even more to catch up. So you have a real challenge ahead of you. I think all of us would say, man, COVID is an issue. I also got a note here about Sam Sevian, who became the youngest GM in U.S. history at 13 years, 10 months, and 27 days, beating all Americans, Fisher, Nakamura, Caruana, and Robson by more than a year. If you don't get it at the 12, well, I don't think you can't even think about that right now, but certainly 13 years and 10 months, that seems miles and miles away. Seems like a record you should definitely get.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I'm not even thinking about that. Just let's go for the world.
Yes, I agree. I agree. You shouldn't be thinking about that indeed. But that record, we're going to say likely is going to happen as well. Well, Abhi, it's been extraordinary going over your games. Let's go over one more game. This game you described as a last round game, but there's a backstory behind it. Tell us about one of the factors that occurred at the beginning of this game.
I mean, so for this was a last round game. So this was in Charlotte. Since I live in New Jersey, okay, we don't take flight due to COVID risk. So we drive there. So it's a 10-hour drive coming back and going. So due to that, I mean, this was the last round game. I offered a draw in the first few moves. Then he declined. Oh, and I should mention that my opponent, Craig Hilby, is American international master with 2 Grandmaster norms. His rating is like 2450. So he declined my draw offer in like the first few moves, and then I made sure that he would regret that.
Yo, listen, I'm 12 years old. I offered you a draw. You don't take my draw offer. You're going to get spanked. Okay, that's how it works. I mean, that's gangster talk right there, folks. Gangster talk. I'm going to punish. Yeah, you got 2 GM norms. I don't care. Time for you to get punished next time when I offer you a draw. You take it. Well, let's get right to the game. That's some serious gangster talk, folks. Savage indeed, Galactic Starfish. I like that word. That's savage. And let's go to the game. He's playing a bit of a passive setup right here, but you leave him alone in the open, and you get your own position as well. Nobody's touching anything. And now he plays this really funky, unorthodox move, Rook G1.
Rook G1. I mean, this is a plan. I mean, I played against Craig before. He's a very like attacking and tactical player. I mean, the setup is you just go G4, G5, H4, just try and mate the guy.
No respect. This would classify as gangster chess if it landed. By the way, if you had lost this game, we'd be showing this on the stream.
Yeah, this plan has been played before. It's not like it's completely new. It's not that bad.
It does look like it holds a potential danger as this bishop is on the long diagonal, but there are not a lot of pieces supporting this plan. Bishop on E2, knight on C3 looks like it's never going to come into the game as well. So you just play cool calm. Somebody play Rook G1 against you. You don't even look on that side of the board, and you play the move knight A6. He plays G4, and you play E5. Like, who cares what you're doing?
Yeah. So my idea so after G5 knight D7, like what happened in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Here, if you continue with this attack with H4, the point of putting the knight on A6 was I can go knight B4, and after queen B1, I go for E4. And now after knight D4, some move knight E5, and now this D3 square is mine.
Give me food. Over. Cry. Devastating. Woo! All right. Beautiful. Beautifully explained. So he saw that coming and he slowed you down with the move
Now,
8.
since you already played G4 to G5, the only shelter for your king is the castle long. Now, since you played A3, now that side's also weakened too.
The drawbacks to the attacking move on one side being shown with the weakening move on the other. Pure Aikido chess we talk about on the stream, folks. He already understands that. You want to attack on one side, but you got to slow things down on the other, creating more weaknesses. We'll take later advantage of that. Knight C7, H4, Queen E7, and don't try to castle because bing, 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 gift us your pawn. So he has to continue with his attack with the move H5, and it looks like he's maybe close to breaking through. What made you think it was the right time now to play the move you played? Because your move looks extraordinary to me.
I mean, I was opening the G file for him, but I mean, since I played this E5 move before, this bishop isn't going to attack G7. And I mean, if in this F file, if F file opens up, I mean, I would just double up, triple up, whatever his knight would have to move, and I would take F2.
All right, we're talking, folks, about the next move that was played, which I consider a pure D gangster move. Amazing thought in this position. Black is facing the barrel of a gun, a rook on the G line, desperate to open up this file. And you're playing a player who has 2 Grandmaster norms, strong international master. He's trying to attack. And you decide in this position to play the move F5. I'm not going to tell you how much courage it takes to play F5 in a position when G takes F6. Now we've got a rook that's like, thanks. I was trying desperately to open up the line, but Abhi's arguing that congratulations, you got that open file, but later I'm going to show you what an open file looks like when I beat you up, and your bishop is going nowhere because I got everything on lockdown in the center. I got a chain that's saying nobody's coming anywhere near my king. Congrats for your G file. That's a great move right here. This is one you want to put in your quiver, folks. These are the type of things you take your treasure chest out. You take this position, the move F5, which is, by the way, the #1 engine recommended move. Put it in your treasure chest and say, okay, I'm going to keep that in my head for the rest of all time. A move like F5 is a boss move, a boss move. You got to have nerves of steel to make a move like this and say, no problem, don't sweat it. Knight G5, I got it covered. Knight F8, watch what I'm going to do to him now. Bishop D3, he thinks he's attacking. Get out of here, leave. This is not going to work. He penetrates. Let's trade. You think you got something? Your bishop landed on G6. You made all this progress. Congratulations. I told you I was going to take over the F file. And guess what? I'm owning the position. All you got is a bishop on G6. I'm supposed to be scared of that checkmating? Not going to happen. Abhi, that is instructive. That is extraordinary. May I ask, is this an idea you've seen before? Because the move F5 to me is the star move of the game. Right here, to play the move F5, that's a star move. Is this an idea you've seen before?
I've seen something similar, but yeah, this is like, I mean, he can't make me. Like if I didn't go for F5, G6, I mean there would be some kind of problem.
Abhi, I got to tell you, this is a star move. This is one of those you put in your best games collection when you play a move like F5 in a position where the rook is just sitting right on G1 like that. That's a person who's thinking about chess a totally different way, whose chess culture is a high level. I'm going to say it right now, folks. You see that move? This is a 12-year-old playing a move like F5. When 12-year-olds are playing moves like this, you should be scared. You should be scared, not just from the look on his face when he's sitting at the board and wants to kill you, but you should be scared when you see this move F5 on the board and it turns out that it's the best move in the position. I'm learning from this move like, wow, that's some good stuff. I remember Vajkevich, who passed away, Polish GM, who would play this in a Sicilian, where white was trying to attack and black would play F5 doing the exact same thing. So seeing the idea before, to see you cross-pollinate and put it in another position like this one with the G file pointed at you.
There's also some other examples, like sometimes in this Karo Khan, this H5, like in the system where like, so where black has these double F pawns.
Mm-hmm.
This H5 move. like where white goes knight e2, queen c2, bishop move, and castle queenside.
Right.
There's some h5. This recent trend.
Gotcha. Okay, kids. Now you see, this is where you know when somebody's dangerous, when they're taking, and this is why, Abhi, this point is really huge. I want you to expand on this because my stream wants to learn. They're trying to get better. We're not just going over playing games and doing nonsense. They're trying to get better. And you're a practicing young player who's doing his thing and is fighting for his life and trying to become not just a grandmaster, but a world champion. But speak to the idea of cross-pollinating one opening idea with something completely different. You said, oh, this happens in the Caro-Kann. I said it happens in the Najdorf. We're not looking at a Caro-Kann or a Najdorf, but we're seeing the exact same idea being borrowed from other openings. Speak to that when you learn how to do that, how to think more broadly about chess than in terms of this is an opening I play and I memorize what you do in this opening.
I mean, it's very, like, in all the openings that we mentioned, I mean, they're more or less similar structures. And I mean, the piece placement is different, but I mean, it doesn't look like, this looks like a good idea. And though if it's a good idea in those openings, I mean, it can't be that bad in this one too. I mean, most of the time, unless it meets some very direct refutation, but I mean, most of the time it should be fine.
There you go. There you go. Other openings, folks. If you just learn one opening, you get stuck in that opening and you don't learn about the rest of chess, your game gets limited. Small window, and you don't know how to broaden your game. You got to broaden your game and take ideas from openings, you know, and put them in other openings as well. So this move F6 to me is like this move F5, I mean, star move of the game, folks. This is what you would put up on a diagram. Back in my learning days, I'd put it up on a diagram. I put it in and say, okay, F5, double exclamation mark. Keep that in mind. Doesn't matter that the G file opens up. Okay, you get the F file and the attack dies on the vine. And white just swing at him. Maybe you might hit him. Look, by the way, this move is also interesting. The move bishop to E4, hoping that you might try to shut the diagonal down with the move E.
Yeah, this is an interesting move, but I mean, I didn't like this kind of thing because he gets stuck on E4. He won't go away.
Bing, 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 let's start the party. And this bishop wakes up and says, hey, ho, the water's fine. No.
I mean, now since this D5 pawn is going away after knight takes C4, D takes C4, bishop takes C4, now this bishop on B7 and knight on C7 are just morons.
Yeah, this looks horrible, and it's pure D attack. I'm not sure I played the right move there. Maybe even knight takes is a boss move.
Something like this. This just looks very, very scary.
I mean,
this is what he's been trying to do from the start.
Fantasy variation for white. White would be thrilled to see this position happen. I'm going to wonder if, knight takes E4. I'm going to try to play defense by, look at all those arrows, by playing the rook back in this position.
Knight G5, so you'll just go back. And I mean, this is just gone.
Blood. The light got bright. Like torture, interrogation, pain. Oh my goodness, H7's hanging, rook's hanging, G7's gonna hang. Stop it. Yeah, don't try this at home. No. No opening lines. It's the bishop you're trying to keep shut down. But H6, a whole different story, folks. Knight H7, trade, move the king over is the line we saw. And now
all his pieces were there. His bishop on B2, knight on southern knight, this bishop, everything was attacking. But now it's like everything's shut down.
Everything's shut down. I love it. I love it. I love it. And the moment you play like this and somebody has to play rook to G2, and then you say, let me plant a rook in your face. And now the queen is prepared to come on this line as well. And if you have a castle, yum, here I come, lunch, knight back to E2, queen to F6. And what did you do, son? Here comes the F2 button, and he castled desperation time. Give me that. Who's attacking whom here? More pawns for me, at least a free pawn. And you're looking around for white's attack, and I'm saying, where is it? I don't see it anywhere. Just tragic. Knight to C3 with the knight under attack. Knight to E6. Abhi just keeping it going. We don't care about that, of course, with the bishop. The knight is dancing now and prancing. King to B1. And now this move, queen g2. Talk to me. Why queen to g2?
I mean, in this position, it was. I mean, I wasn't able to see something very clear, but I mean, queen g2. The ideas in some variations, like if things somehow his rook gets activated, I can go rook f1, or I can always go rook f2 and just try to do something along second rank.
Gotcha. You know what I love? I love the way the c file doesn't matter. Like you just play king b1, and if he tries to play something like takes, you're looking at the c file and you're saying, I don't care.
You know, that's the point. All my pieces are there, like my bishop on b7, bishop on d6, all these squares are just covered.
We got it all covered. The gang's all there. Do what you like. Nothing's going to happen. You want to try a move like knight to b5?
I just go back to bishop b8. Okay.
Relax. We've seen this story before. Your knight's going to be leaving very soon. And watch out if I ever play this move and trap some stuff. But, I mean, extraordinary, absolutely beautiful construction, configuration, geometrics of the pieces. So after queen g2, he played the move b4. That looks suspicious. Like, now he's exposing his king even more, and there's no real threat to your position. You played a6. That seems evil and somehow unnecessary. Like,
I mean, okay, I wasn't able to find a clear plan. I mean, I thought his only idea of b4 was some b5, and I mean, even after a6, I'm the one who's trying to play b5. Just ask him, what are you doing with your c pawn?
I got you. It seemed like you had some progress, but I agree. The clarity of the plan is not there. It's not clear you want to play rook f1. It's not clear you want to play this move either. Not sure if you want to drop your bishop back somewhere. Where does it go? It is true that even though you're up a pawn, it is this g pawn, right? And your g pawn is not going anywhere anytime soon.
And my king is also kind of weak. I can't go overextended because somehow if his queen gets to last rank, and I mean, my king is just
problematic. I agree. All right, you played a6. He played queen d3. You drop your bishop back. He played takes, and now brought his queen back to c2. Neither side looks like they know exactly what to do yet, but you're the one who's up the pawn. So here, let's play b5. And after bishop to f5, knight g5, no problem. Put his bishop back on g6. And now bishop to b6, improving the pieces slowly but surely. Knight a2, I'm not sure what that is. And now here you come. D4, breaking through, takes, rook to e1. And here goes that rook with a hope. Step back, son. Knight to f3. And he did not want to move his rook back over, which I can appreciate.
Yeah, after rook d1, I was planning to move like knight h4 or something like this, and I thought it was just over.
Oh, taking
or 95 or whatever.
Looking. Oh yeah, like this one looks really nice actually. Taking this piece.
Yeah, now bishop 5, I can just take it.
Boom! Wake up and smell the B-hop coffee. All right, look at that nastiness. So time for maneuvering. You have to be impatient and make it happen. You just keep going forward. So instead, he tried to play some trickery on you with queen to f5. Like, I think I might be able to sneak a move in there with this shot. And you said, I don't think so. Knight takes with check. By the way, folks, it's for you who are checking. What's this about? Yeah, Matutski is coming right at you at a theater near you. So that would not have been a good idea. Indeed. Queen f5, trying to spice things up against the young man. And Abhi said, give me that. Let me just check you a couple of times right here just to test you. King back to a1.
I mean, I repeated moves. So, in this position, we were both in time pressure. So, I mean, there's a 30-second increment. So I just repeated once to get some extra time.
Gain some time on the clock. That's the veteran way to do it. And now let's offer a trade of queens, which would lose the game. He played queen e6 and then bishop out of the way. Now right here, he can't take your pawn because bing, 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 gift me the bishop. So that's defended. So instead, he played knight to c1, trying to guard that square. And now knight to c4, and the action gets fierce. Now he took the pawn, and you hit him with bishop to d5. Oh my goodness, the a3 pawn is going to hang with check. The queen's hanging. There's no back rank mate ever to dream about now. He played queen to e2, and instead of grabbing his pawn, you hit him with bishop to f6. Okay, that's a mean move.
Yeah, I mean, here there's some very funny lines. Like, I mean, okay, game is essentially over. Now, if bishop takes f6, I can just go queen takes f6. King b1, knight takes a3 is mate.
Matutski, folks, how many times do you see this checkmate happen in a game?
So I mean, bishop takes f6 doesn't work. So queen takes f3 would be his next thing, trying to just say I'm down a pawn by at least like in 5, and now bishop takes a d4 check. And now king b1 is okay. King a2 is best, but I mean he's still down a piece. But now knight d2 is not. It's not mate, but yeah, whatever. I'm just winning. I'm up by a piece.
That's a full piece. That's cry all day long. Bishop f6. Who can defend this bishop? I mean, the answer is nobody. Plus, at any moment you can play queen takes a3. I mean,
yeah, that's
feel like it. That's a hard pawn to resist. I don't even know what to play. Like what? There's no move. There's no move. This is over. This is over, Rover. Bishop f6. Bye. Stop making moves. Lay down. I offered you a draw early, and you didn't accept. And now it's time to cry. And we can now drive back our 10 hours back to Charlotte. You delayed my ride back from Charlotte to New Jersey. I mean, I got to go back to Jersey, but you know what? At least I have a smile on my face. It's always nice when you win the last round. Let me tell you, that's the way to get it done.
All the stuff where you tried this b4 and stuff. Now, I mean, now look at his game.
Look at you now. Look at you now. This is what you get for all that weakening. And the so-called attack that White had down the G file. You guys remember those days? Yeah, neither do I. Indeed. Vicious game, vicious kill. Great game to show. Abhi, thanks for sharing those 3 games. Those were monster fights. You're in the thick of it. I remember the days. I can't even remember the days when I was in the mix, like it's so long ago, in the thick of the fights. You are saying fresh, tactical, sharp, playing great moves. It's clear to us that you are definitely a GM in training. And though you want more than that, you want beyond the beyond. Well, indeed, folks, we have seen some great moves from Abhi. Can he keep it up? In the next part of our stream, it's going to be hand and brain. You will challenge me and the young phenom to hand and brain. When we come back, I'm going to be the hand to his brain. I'm going to try not to mess up his moves. The time control, folks, is 3 minutes plus a 2-second. They say it should be a minimum 5-second increment.
I mean, whatever, it's fine.
I know, whatever is fine. I did it with Wesley. All right, let's do a 5-second increment. 3 minutes plus 5-second increment. Give us a time for him to tell me the move and for us to relay it. We're going to go 3 minutes to 5-second increment. I'm going to reset my settings. Actually, I think I do have it already open to infinite challenge. Yeah, so anybody, any rating can challenge me. We're going to do this. You say 5 minutes at least? Everybody wants 5 minutes. 5 minutes plus 5 seconds. That's what you guys want?
I mean, okay, the longer the game, I mean, sure, but yeah, whatever. 3 plus 5, 5 plus 5.
If y'all make it too long, we're just gonna spank y'all. That's what I'm saying. Y'all make it too long. You know what? The crew wants the longer games, 5 minutes. So 5. I mean, you heard the young G. He said, "You guys want to do it longer? We're gonna hurt your feelings." Okay. I think the smoke. Yo, Abhi's fierce. My username is GM Ashley. It's real simple, folks. This is the GM Ashley stream. You can challenge me. Let's just do it Abhi's way. Abhi's on the stream. We're going to do GM Ashley. You challenge me. Just challenge GM Ashley. You know how to do it. It's going to be 3 plus 5, but it's going to happen after we come back. So challenging now is not going to help you. Let me tell you right now, it's not going to help you. You're going to be at the front of the line, and then all of a sudden you're going to be usurped and going to be at the back of the line. So wait up and hope you catch it at the right time. 3 plus 5, 3 minutes plus 5 seconds. That's the only challenge I'm accepting. It's going to be me and Abhi. Abhi is the brain, me as the hand. Play a few games. When we come back, and Abhi, I'll try not to hold you down. We'll see what we can do. We'll be back, folks, during the GM Ashley stream with the young phenom, Abhimanyu Mishra. One break, and we'll be back with Hand and Brain. If you want to see more of these videos, don't forget to click the subscribe button, and please follow me on twitch.tv/GMAshley.